Hi, guys, welcome back to the third episode of Girl Next Door Season 2. Hope you're all having a great day. It is the 11th of September, so happy September. This is the new month, and I don't know about you guys, but I always feel like September is the new January. I always feel like I'm going into September with a positive, optimistic mindset. Not like I don't have that like throughout the whole year, but I kind of go in with even more energy. It's like a fresh start, like kind of like 2 quarters of the way through the year. And I don't know, I feel like obviously it kind of goes back to school, everyone's going back to school, uni, college, and it kind of just gives that fresh start that I feel like some of us or a lot of us might need. September is a universal time, really go into the new month with a slightly different mindset. And that is kind of what I want to talk to you about today. It's about changing your mindset. So with change, and if you're wanting to change or kind of maybe become a higher level of yourself, or maybe just be a bit more kind of thoughtful and understand your mind a bit better, evaluate your thinking a bit more, change your mindset or attitude. These are some of the tips that I have done over the last year or so that have really helped me kind of move into a more stable and positive space, because I definitely wasn't, like I'd say this time last year, I was not in a stable and positive space. But these tips that I'm going to share with you today have helped me personally. So I don't want to say that this is the be all and end all. It's not. But these are things that have helped me in my kind of life. And if you didn't already know, last year or like the year before that, I was struggling with an eating disorder, and it came on really quickly and really out of the blue. But it was my first year of university and I was really struggling. Nobody knew. And it was a bit of a whirlwind, really. And then I kind of had to practice all of these things at once, and it was very overwhelming. But the personal growth I achieved in that year really has changed my life for the better, because it got me out of that dark place. And I'm here now, and I'm sharing a bit of tips and tricks that help me. So this is just me personally. And yeah, gosh, we're really moving swiftly on. Okay, so number one is what I really kind of struggle to do at the beginning, because some of these things you don't even think about in your like day-to-day life. Well, I didn't anyway. And that's practicing gratitude. I honestly believe that practicing gratitude really kind of changed my mindset and made it a bit more positive, in the sense that once you kind of acknowledge the positive things in your life and understand what makes you happy, and you take a few minutes out of your day to kind of sit down and think about what you're thankful for, you really understand where your joy, your fulfillment really lies. And what I did, and this is I recommend to anyone, is taking a little bit of time in your day to kind of write down the things that you are thankful for that day, whether that's your parents, your dog, like, friends, your job, I don't know, being able to move your body. Like, write these things down. Some of you might think, oh, but I think these things. But sometimes it's that extra step of really understanding that what you're writing down is a positive thing, and you can kind of see it more because it doesn't go away. It's not a 2-second thought. Once you've written it on a piece of paper, it's there, and you can reread it and be like, yeah, oh my God, I am really thankful I've been able to, climb that mountain. I am really thankful that I've had that person in my life because they've always been like supportive and blah, blah, blah. You get to really acknowledge what's there. And it's so easy to also forget these things happen throughout the day. So you could focus on one shitty thing that's happened throughout the day. Say you didn't get the grades that you wanted on that certain exam or whatever. You could be hung up on that whole thing that day, but you've done so much before in that morning, or you might have done like loads of other amazing things, but yet you're focusing on just the one thing that maybe didn't turn out the way that you expected. And that's a lesson in itself anyway. But what I'm trying to say is that once you write something down, you really visualize it, and it kind of goes to a more certain steady part of the brain, because it's coming out of your head into words. And once you read the words, you can then read it to yourself back, and it's a different part that processes it. It's not the same as if you were to say it to yourself, because your brain doesn't know what is a logical thought or what is not. It's like the book that I'm reading at the moment. It's called The Chimp Paradox, and it's really good if you guys are really interested in about kind of like getting to know a bit more about your brain and how that kind of works. But basically, the whole concept is that you've got this chimp in your brain and you've got your rational, normal yourself thoughts. And what basically the two kind of butt heads a lot, and they have very different opinions. And most of the time the chimp wins because it's kind of the more prominent one. It's kind of the fight or flight in you, I guess. It's like that in your head. So when you say things out loud, you can listen to it back and be like, oh, actually, that's not right, or that's a bit of an over exaggeration. Basically, you can just think more logically when you write things down or when you say things out loud, because your brain has got a steadier, it's more fair to weigh up on. It's the chimp is not taking over because it's not all in your head. It's you're listening to it, you're speaking it. You basically like comprehend it a bit better. So not only are we expressing gratitude to ourselves and like saying well done about the things that you've done or the things that you've found thankful throughout the day into yourself, but it's also expressing that to others. And this is again just a very basic one, but sometimes like we do forget that saying thank you and, you know, really showing appreciation for something is almost like another gift in itself, because you're reliving those feelings again, sharing that positive energy. And I think energy is such a big thing. Once you kind of say a nice thing to somebody, it's the kind of response you get back, and it's the kind of bonding, and like it uplifts you because you said something nice, and it uplifts the other person. So you're on this kind of new vibe level, whatever you want to call it. And it's just, the more you have of that, the more kind of higher level good vibes you have around you. I think the kind of more positive energy is radiated. Okay, so the next one is having some sort of regular physical activity. Now, I say this term kind of lightly, and I think you really know, true to yourself, what kind of physical activity you need right now, because everyone is so different. And if you're not in the best place and you've not got a very healthy relationship with exercise at the moment, this might be different for you. And I think it's really important to kind of understand your body and kind of really take some time to get that healthy space with yourself. So if you are, please don't feel the pressure to do any of this, but I feel like now that I'm in a more healthy relationship with exercise, it's something that really regulates my emotions. And it's really about finding an exercise or finding physical activity that you genuinely enjoy. Don't do something just because you feel like you have to or you should now, because that then necessarily kind of like correlates with negative emotions, or you don't want to do something anymore. And what we want to do, exercise activity is a boost. It's meant to, you know, make you feel good, connected with your body. And if you're doing something you don't really like doing, you're not going to feel the same way. So it's about really trying to, you know, find your thing and what you love. And, you know, you might love something at one period of time, then kind of go off it. And you might try something else and you might love that for the time being. That's what I'm like. I like to flit around and do one thing. So I was really into gym, and then I was really into running, and I'm really into netball. And then I'll go back to gym, then I go back to netball, and I go back to running. Then I kind of like, and then I was into calisthenics for a bit, and like I still kind of am, but like there's so many different things that I kind of love to do. I've always been an active person, so that's probably why. But it's about finding the things that you love in that moment, and kind of it gets your body moving. You feel connected to yourself, and I think this only kind of works when you've got a healthy relationship with it, because you've got to be doing it for the right reasons, and that's to kind of connect with yourself because you enjoy it. Don't feel like you have to do something because you want to look a certain way, or because, you know, so and so is doing this. Because once we turn that into something negative about ourselves, that's when we associate that certain thing with that certain feeling. And exercise is a positive thing, you know, it's a empowering thing. Like, you're able to move, dance, you know, whatever, and that's amazing. So finding something that, you know, keeps your body moving, your mind going, and you're enjoying it at the same time is just the best feeling ever. And I completely understand, because I was in a position where I had a really negative relationship with the gym. I felt like I had to go, otherwise certain things would happen. And, you know, so I do get it that if you're not in that place right now where you can't exercise, believe me, I have been in that position. I have had to cut exercise to a complete stop. Certain things I've been doing has allowed me to kind of get out of my mind and into my body and really enjoy moving again. But it does take time. And so, like I said, if you're struggling right now with kind of an unhealthy relationship with exercise or anything, just take what I've said with a pinch of salt. Don't feel guilty, because it is so normal. Okay, so the next one I feel like I have nailed to a T, and that is practicing self-care and really creating and establishing a routine that includes things that you love. Now, this is my passion. I have really tried to include every single day, I try to include something that I love, because I think it's really important to keep a healthy balance and not let the stresses of life, because we all have stress, I try and not let that take over that time that I have for my self-care, because this is the biggest one that I think has changed the way that I view things as well. In the sense, because when I was in that bad place, all I was thinking about was work, doing this in the gym. And I was in this constant cycle of, I need to work more, I need to do more, I need to work more, I need to work more, I can't go out, I can't do this, I can't see my friends because I need to work. And I was in this toxic cycle of like productivity. And, you know, it was just, I never made time for anything that I truly loved. And I never got into my creative side. I never did anything fun, didn't see my friends. I cut everyone off. And slowly but surely, like, I became a shell of the person that I used to be, because once you've got a person and you like slowly like carve away little bits that you love and that you love doing, so like you love going out for coffee and cake, that's taken away because you don't have time for that, or you love playing music and you don't do that anymore, so that's another thing that you just like chip away. And then you love drawing, that's another thing, and because you don't have time or you're too tired from constantly having this work exertion all the time, you become so like all the things that made you don't do them anymore, and you become like a shell of the person that you used to be. And that's not to say that, you know, you can't ever bring those things back, because you definitely can. And like, I'm here and I'm doing everything I love again, because they're like the things that you love deep down in your heart. But I think sometimes it's so easy to kind of always be in this like work head mode that we think that we've got to cut all these things out to be better at one thing. And it's just so not the case, because realistically, the more that you cut out that you genuinely love, and yes, you might love your job, but, or the thing that's kind of over your head, but the more things that we file down just so we can prioritize that one thing, the more likely that we're going to burn out, get resentful and over that thing. And we're not going to have any time to have anything else, because all the energy is going into that one thing that you don't even want to do any of the other hobbies that you used to have. So it's about establishing a routine and including little bits that make you happy. So I take myself on coffee dates and like try not to do that work and just do something a bit creative. So I love drawing and I love art and everything like that, but I hadn't done that in so long because I thought it was a waste of time, because I could be working in that time. However, incorporating these things, it acts as a different side to your brain. It kind of allows you to have that time off and to really reset, and you go into work or uni with a completely different headspace because you're fresh. And it's drawing, painting, getting crafty like that, it ignites my imagination and it gets me thinking. So I think of like the best ideas I have when I'm drawing, because my mind is taken somewhere completely different. I'm not just focusing at a computer screen. Same if you like music and you're playing an instrument, I'm sure that you've got to focus on the music, I don't know, but I'm sure that you get into kind of, you really feel the music and you're inspired and it takes you to a different place. Just like kind of art, music, dancing, like other skills that are apart from like kind of work and everything like that. But that really helped me kind of transform my mindset. So that's quite big things. And I'd say, that is difficult to do if you're really in like a toxic productivity, like you can't stop kind of place. However, to shift that kind of mindset, what I personally did, that really helped me kind of get from that place to the place where I was able to like take a few hours away from work, is I incorporated little things. So I did extra steps to my skincare, and I had a really nice breakfast. I kind of had it a bit longer. And when I had breakfast, I wasn't on my phone. And because I think it's also really important to practice that mindfulness even still when you're doing a task, putting all your energy into that one thing at that certain time. Now, this is what I've been doing these last kind of few weeks, is when I'm eating, I am eating. I'm not on my phone, because I think, you take more time, you appreciate the food that you've got in front of you. You're, romanticizing it a bit. You're like, oh, this food is great. Like, I'm really happy that I'm here. Like, all of these different emotions you're actually feeling, rather than just sitting in front of a TV screen and just shoveling food inside your mouth. I'm watching this, I don't even know what I'm eating right now. So that's something I actually really encourage you guys to try, is maybe just your next meal, maybe you're actually eating whilst listening to this, is just either turn this off, like don't turn this off, but like turn it off, or put the screen down when you're eating and just kind of sit with yourself. And because you get thoughts and feelings that you would have just not even realized if you were to watch something on TV or YouTube or whatever when you're eating. And it's really nice and kind of, can I say, quiet in a sense, because you get to sit with yourself and really kind of understand how you're feeling, and you get to almost have this new experience with like food, that you're experiencing all these flavors, and it's great. But it's kind of incorporating that mindset as well. So that's what I like to do, is I like to kind of romanticize my dinners, and I like to set it out a little nice placemat, and maybe, I don't know, just get some like nice fancy cutlery and make a nice dinner and really romanticize it. It's about finding the little things that bring you joy in your day-to-day life. Maybe it's, I don't know, you wear fluffy socks around the house. I don't know, those little things that just kind of bring you extra happiness. I don't know, whatever. But that's something that kind of makes me feel mindful, and it makes me happy because I'm at one with my feelings and myself. Kind of going back to what I was saying about eating without any kind of distraction or like YouTube or anything, I think it's so easy that we don't appreciate the value of food. I guess it's a social thing, it's fuel, but it's also a time where we can be kind of like understand ourselves a bit more, in the sense there are so many times where, I don't know about you, but I've been working and I've had like a sandwich next to me and I've not even kind of realised that I've eaten a sandwich, or like, I don't know, I'll be kind of going downstairs for more food afterwards, and that's fine. Like, there's no restriction there. But once you kind of take the time to kind of get away from, and you're really just focusing on one task, it's like multitasking. I don't necessarily think that there is good multitasking. It's just things that you aren't doing to your best capability. And I get that sometimes we do have to multitask. However, I think really sometimes it's about trying to focus your energy on certain things at a time. So like I said, when I eat, I'm eating, just eating. When I'm working, I am just working. And that is my dedicated time to my work. I'm committed to my commitments, and I'm putting the grind in for that certain amount of time, because I think what we see a lot of is that work is everyone's personality. And I get it to a point, because I absolutely love my I love leveling up my career. I love understanding more about myself, how I can like get different business deals, and how I can really grow this kind of like, I'm going to be a bit cringe, like this kind of empire of like, what you think you're bossing at. And, it's really exciting. I love it. However, I feel like if we work 24/7 and we're always doing work, and we're not having that dedicated time to do that, it becomes a bit of our personality. And at the end of the day, there's many other things that we'll have going on actually as our personality. We're funny, we're kind, we like to do activities that are not just to do with money and I think I know that work is necessarily not all about money sometimes, it's something you can enjoy as well. Like I definitely do, but it's about kind of understanding that, yes, that's great and you enjoy that, but it's not your whole life, you know? There is other things that you can enjoy that's outside. Anyway, I'm kind of going off on a tangent there, but yeah, putting 100% into things. Like when I'm with somebody, like when I'm spending time with someone, maybe that's going on a coffee date, maybe that's going for food, maybe going on a walk. I am 100% with that person. So I am not on my phone. I am spending that quality time with that somebody because, again, it's about appreciating and understanding that time that you've spent, you've committed to that person, or that time is basically you're giving your time to them, or they're giving your time to you. So it's about kind of understanding that there's a level of kind of, you're both giving something, you're both giving your time. So I think it's really important to kind of commit to that time and really maximize that time. So once you kind of put 100% into the certain things you do, your brain switches off into certain things. So once I'm in like friends mode and I'm talking to my friends and so on, I'm in friends mode. I'm not thinking about work. And when I'm doing work, I'm not thinking about my friends because I'm just in work mode. So I can really kind of tunnel vision, or like I can filter my thoughts so I can kind of produce and understand what I need to do and how to do it the most efficient way. So what you actually gain from kind of putting 100% into each task that you do, it means that when you are focusing on that one task, say I'm doing my work, I'm in work mode, I get all my work and basically switching on my business brain. So everything I'm thinking and doing is acting in a more business mode mindset, if that makes sense. So it's more rational decisions, not bringing personal life into it, thinking about the facts. Whereas when I finish that, when I shut my laptop down and I go downstairs and talk to my friends, that's fun mode. I'm not going to bring work in. I'm not going to, throw facts and statistics to them like I'm pitching them a job. It's fun. I'm thinking of jokes, and we're telling stories, and I'm in a much more kind of lighthearted, fun, sociable mindset. And that's because I'm putting 100% when I'm with my friends. I'm not bringing work to my friendship group. I'm leaving it at the door and putting 100% into my friends. Same with when I'm journaling. I put 100% into journaling, and that means during that time, I am completely kind of in my own thoughts. I'm being mindful. I'm evaluating my day. When I'm doing something creative, it's about tapping into a different, letting my imagination run wild and seeing where that takes me. I'm not thinking about all the stresses of everything that I've got going on. So when you put 100% into the task that you're doing, you're allowing yourself to resonate and sit with the feelings that are provoked during that time. And with that, you then might get other ideas. And it's nice to let other ideas come in. So how I started to do this was implementing boundaries. Now, I think it can be quite difficult or kind of daunting at the beginning, setting the word boundary at the beginning of a task. A boundary is something that you are committing to. So I think the word boundary is quite intense anyway, but a boundary is something you've committed to and you're going to stick to. So, and it can be quite hard. I used to find it quite hard to stick to, but I found a kind of a little way that helps me. And you might have seen it around. It's like the committing to your commitments. That's a boundary that you've set. And once that you've told yourself you're going to do something, it's almost owing it to yourself to follow through in that task. Because now, obviously, there is so many different scenarios where this might not, come into play. However, I think a lot of the time I used to kind of give in to my head a bit. I used to think, I could do that later, I could do it tomorrow. Or I can go shopping now because I want to, and actually that can be put later. And I think it's about the reflection of what you owe to yourself. And that is how I kind of set my boundaries, and set that when I'm going to do some work, I know that it's almost like doing your future self a favor. You're taking that hour out of your day to do something more proactive for the person in front of you, which is still you, but in like an hour's time, so that in the next hour you can do something else. But you owe it to yourself at that time to commit to your commitments and do the thing that you said you were going to do. So, like I said, applying it to the doing everything 100%, when you are doing your work, putting that phone on the other side of the room and not going on it, and sticking to that and owing it to yourself to really put 100% into your work. So once you've understood like the basic, kind of giving yourself 100% do a task at once, you then unlock this whole new like secret level of yourself that you almost feel like you can do more, because you're not stretched as thin across the whole day. You can really enjoy each part of your day 100% rather than enjoying nothing out of it because you're just trying to fit everything into it at once, if that makes sense. Okay, so the next one is about developing your mental intelligence. Now, this is something that I think it's important to understand. However, there is a certain point where I think it becomes we get too in our heads about it. Now, it's important definitely to practice self-awareness and kind of understanding and recognizing your emotions and the impact that certain things have on your behaviors. Okay, so for example, when you look in the mirror, are you speaking to yourself positively or negatively? And understanding that if it's one or the other, understanding those feelings and the actions that maybe come after that. I think it's really important to kind of understand that it's okay to feel that certain way. It's understand like your feelings are valid. However, I think it's important to kind of sometimes get out of your head and not let your emotions always impact and control on your actions. Because this is sometimes the thing that I do sometimes is, I'll feel a certain way and I'll really analyse, I'll critically analyse where it's come from. Oh, it's because of my past and, when I was a child, this happened and blah, blah, blah. But sometimes I think it's okay to be like, okay, like, I feel this, that's fine, like, and not overthink about it too much. Now, I think what it is more understanding where they've come from and allowing yourself to feel like that for that second and then kind of move on. Don't stew over it, because this is what I used to do and it really takes up a lot of mental space. And I think if we just think, oh, like I feel like shit because I haven't done this much work, and that's because I feel loads of pressure because of my past and my parents have given me loads of pressure and blah, 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 and this happened. I think sometimes it's good to understand why you're feeling certain things, but once you understand, it's about going, okay, I've identified them, let's like work and let's kind of try and change and shift the energy. Because we can't let every kind of emotion control our actions. It's just very emotionally draining. I feel like sometimes I have been in such an analysing place that all I want to do is just do one task and not overthink things and not kind of completely critically analyse every single step that I'm making, because it just takes the fun out of things. So like working, I started doing work and all of this as a fun thing, but one day I just started having all these, critical, like, analysing thoughts about certain things and how I'm not doing certain things right. It just wipes away all of this like freeness, like this, the liberation out of it. So I think kind of getting out of your head maybe and into your body, that's what I've kind of been doing. So I saw this online and it's about when you're feeling like really stressed or kind of anxious, overwhelmed, or you've got having a bit of a bad day, sometimes doing like something that's going to regulate your feelings. So whether that's giving somebody a hug, whether that's going to the gym and kind of bashing out heavy weights, whether that's dancing to happy music, it's about shifting the energy how you think it should be shifted and kind of getting out of your head and into your body, because sometimes we don't need to analyze every single thing we do. And I think it's okay that I think sometimes it needs to be said that just because you analyze everything that you do doesn't make you more mindful, or it doesn't make you have more emotional intelligence just because you can analyze everything back to the day you were born. I think it's important to kind of understand, to a point, but you don't have to go deep diving into every, life decision that you've made. And I think that is where my mindset has also changed into, it's almost kind of having a bit more of a, honestly, simple thinking. I definitely think my life is a lot more happier now that I don't critically analyze and overthink and think about like everything so deeply. I allow myself for that minute to go, yep, I feel like that because of maybe that, and that's okay, but let's try and shift this energy in this mood, because we're focusing on the future and like the next kind of hour or so, rather than like prolonging that maybe feeling. Another thing I think is really important to think about, maybe that's because you're moving to university or you're starting a new job or whatever, or maybe you just kind of like need to hear this, but it's about fostering, accommodating those positive relationships in your life. Now, think of the people in your life right now. I'm sending you a task right now, so come on, visualize, think about the people in your life. Are you surrounding yourself with positive influences? Do they lift you up? Do they support you, inspire you? Do they make an impact on your mindset in a positive way? These are the kind of qualities I think are really important to have in your life. Friends that are to lift you up and not to drag you down. I think identifying friends that do kind of bring you down, they need to be identified and distanced. Distancing yourself from negativity is not always easy, but is really essential for your mental well-being, because if there's something that you really genuinely want to do and the people in your life aren't supporting you, or they don't believe in you, or it can be really kind of soul destroying. You can kind of lose the spark that you had, and you be like, oh well, and you can kind of doubt yourself. Understanding what you seek from a relationship, whether that's a romantic relationship or a platonic relationship, you want different things from different friends, but there's underlying values I think that are important to that they might need to have, and it's different for everyone. Just as it's important for your friends to invest time into you, it's also really important that you invest time into those people as well, because relationships are two ways. Friendships, relationships, they are two ways. And I think if it's not like reciprocated, that also can be draining. Where I am trying to place my energy right now is I am giving myself to people that give me time. So I have given my friends time. I've given them my, reached out, and if that's not reciprocated, then I understand, okay, that's not really where I stand. I'm gonna kind of level that. I'm gonna kind of match that energy. It's not one-sided. I think it's important that you're both giving the same amount of energy and effort, so it's not draining. It's not like pushing water up a hill. It's not like you're getting nowhere. You both got to benefit from that relationship, and if you're not, or if they're not, that's where we see things just slowly crumble. We need people to add to our lives. Having that same amount of effort and energy, that you want, you have got to give. So I really kind of understood who my friends were when it came to my podcast. Now, when I did this podcast, it was a bit out there. I didn't know anyone that had a podcast, and it was very new and kind of, I don't know, I feel like more people are getting podcasts nowadays, which is amazing. But I feel like when I did this beginning of the year, it was quite, bit of a new thing. Anyway, I was quite nervous to tell my friends and everything. I didn't know whether they'd support or they'd be kind of like, they kind of be like, that's a bit weird. But I really got a lot of support from my friends. And that was one of the things that I didn't know how it was going to go down. But they boosted me and supported me. And I just felt so kind of like understood, backed up, that my friends have got my back no matter what. And that is what you want. Someone that's going to boost you, inspire you, and, level up with you in this like journey of life. Now, that sounds quite cringe, but, I'm just going to say it anyway, because I think it's really important that you seek out the best in people. And, well, for me, I want friends that are going to kind of boost me to be the best person I am going to be. And I can thankfully say that all my friends do that. However, there has definitely been some in the past that haven't, and that's okay. And that's when friendships come to a stop because you maybe don't want different things. But it's about kind of creating those bonds with people that are going to lift you, inspire you, challenge you in the best ways to become better in yourself. And you both do that. So yeah, I think it's really important to invest in people that are really there for you and support you. Even if you're going through a hard time at the moment, and I do get it, sometimes we do cut people off because we can't mentally kind of cope with reaching out, or I don't know, I'm in a bit of a place right now where I find it quite difficult to reply to text, and that's not because of I'm in a bad place, but I just don't have a lot of time. I just kind of text people back being like, oh yeah, sorry, I'm just doing this, or I'm going to reply to this in a bit. I'm quite busy at the moment with work, and I've got a lot kind of on my plate. I've just moved to my new house in Manchester. Yay! So I've been a bit up in the air. So I do understand that it's kind of hard to reach out sometimes, but the people that have your back, you guys will know, even if you might not speak to this person every single day, and you inspire each other, or you kind of know you do. I think it's important to maybe reach out and understand that, yes, okay, you might have like messed up, or you might have cut somebody out, not on purpose, but it's just the way it's happened to be. Don't ever feel like you can't maybe contact a person again, because I think if they are genuinely there for you and they support you, they're always gonna understand, even if that means that they can't be friends with you in that time. Because when I was going through difficult times, an eating disorder and everything, I struggled to reach out to my friends, and some of those friends, had to be like, I completely understand, I want you to know that I'm here for you, but I can't be here for you in that way because I struggled with that, and that's their own boundaries. So I think it's understanding that as well, but generally having positive relationships and supportive people in your life really, really make a difference, and it's about cutting the people that don't bring you that. Okay, so goodness me, I've been rambling on for a long, long time, but the last one I want to talk about is kind of learning. Now, this is kind of a general term, and I think for me, another way that I shifted out of a bad place was from reading books, kind of understanding how to kind of shift that mindset. Now, the books, I've not read a lot of books, I can't lie, I'm quite a slow reader, so it takes me a little while. However, the books I have read are The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck and The Chimp and Mind Paradox. Now, just two, because these self-help books I do like to read thoroughly. However, I've done a lot of reading online, articles, listen to podcasts, blah, blah, blah. So however you like to learn, whether that's YouTube videos, courses, I don't know, counselling, reading, anything, podcasts, however you like to learn, I think, we can never, ever learn too much. There doesn't become one age where you're like, you know what, I don't need to learn anything else. Like, I'm good, I'm chill. I think it's so important to always have a mind for learning, because I love learning. I love learning about anything. Like when I was at Ralph Lauren for the couple months I was there, I was learning so much on the job about the fashion industry, about people, but then also the guy who kind of made us coffee, like Hugh. I don't know if you'll be listening, but hi Hugh. He did listen to my podcast a few times, but I'm not sure if he's like a committed guy. Anyway, I love that guy. He would talk for ages, and he would just teach me the most kind of random facts, and I would just be so interested, because even though these things, I don't know if I'm going to implement in my day-to-day life, it just is very fascinating to know. And I'm a very curious person, so I'd ask him loads of questions, and he's a very wise person, so he kind of just tell me everything there is to know about making coffee. And we had this whole I had this whole history lesson with him about how to make the perfect coffee. And I've implemented them into my coffee morning routine, and oh my gosh, I could taste the difference. And I would never have known that if I didn't ask certain questions and was curious. So I think that's also another thing that really can like shift some sort of mindset energy, is just to be curious and understand that it's a bit like humbling in a way that you have got to understand that you don't know everything. And for me, I'm quite a confident person. I think sometimes when I was younger, maybe a bit kind of naive and cocky, I guess, that I didn't think that I needed to learn. Like in school, I was like, yeah, this is a waste of my time. And I guess that's coming with emotional maturity and kind of growing up and stuff. But I have developed like an understanding of being okay with not knowing certain things and have an interest to open my mind and gain more knowledge, because it's not a like thing that gets full, over a certain time. So however you love to learn, I think it's so important to, because each person you meet can teach you something different, and it's about embracing the unknown. So it's the invitation that you have in your head once you like try and learn about a new topic. You're open to a whole new world, and you might find a new passion, you might find a new hobby, you might find something you want to continue and implement throughout your day-to-day life, or you might find little life hacks and ways to kind of better your coffee, like I said, or you might find a kind of more optimal way at the gym just from like through learning through somebody else. Yes, these might just be kind of little hyperfixations and things you are passionate about just now, but I think it's important to explore all areas. Let your mind wander. Allow yourself to follow the path it wants to take. Like, I'm going to relate this to calisthenics. I had a urge to suddenly, do loads, and I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. But I've never done it in my life, so I was just like, I don't know where to start. But I kind of watched a few YouTube videos and then watched a few TikToks, and then I started playing around in my room, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to go out to the park, and then I started doing them in the park. And I could have just sat there and been like, you know what, I don't know how to do it. I'm not going to try, because it's going to take years. And you know what, I've not actually been blown away by it. I just love doing handstands, and I think and chin-ups. And this might change. I might do it better. I might learn from someone else. Katie doing it all wrong, do it this way, and I might love it. But how I've just learned about it, not necessarily my thing forever. However, I'm not shut off to it, but I'm glad I've gone down that pathway and kind of identified that I like certain things about it, but I don't like other things about it. So yeah, it's about exploring that type of thing. The same goes for mindsets as well. So when I was reading a self-help book, it's understanding that, okay, and they basically say, quite frankly, that you're not special. They're like, you're not special. The way that your mind is working is not special, because everyone has different brains. It's all the same brain, but everyone's kind of brain works slightly differently. But once you understand that you're not special, and you can learn from other people, there's a whole new level of kind of respect and awe that I have for people now. I'm like, wow, you're incredible. I admire you so much. Whereas my younger self might not necessarily would have done that. Having that kind of change of mindset, having that like personal growth, just because someone else is amazing at something doesn't take away that you're amazing at anything else. So these are just a few of the things that I've actually implemented into my life that have changed things for me. Now, I'm not saying that these things are going to help or change you, but I think sometimes it's nice to have this little reminder that there are ways that we can tweak and understand and adapt our mindset to be a certain way. And if you're doing these things already, then great. That's a great reminder to carry on doing them. But if you're not, then I think maybe try and implement a few of these things and write down a little list of the things that you kind of want to do, because that's kind of how I started doing it. And yeah, it might seem a bit overwhelming at the beginning, and it just comes with like time. I am going to leave it here for today. These can be implemented whenever. Start today, write a list. Get yourself a little diary or pen and paper, whatever, on your notes app on your phone, and write down some of the things that you're grateful for and the people that you're grateful for, or some of the people that you need to text back, or that you need to kind of tell that you appreciate them, or anything like that, or the people that you really value in your life. do something like a point of action from this podcast that you're going to leave and feel, yes, okay, I feel like this is really shifting a bit of energy for me. I hope you guys have really enjoyed this podcast. If you have, remember to rate the podcast on Spotify, send me a message on Instagram. It's at girlnextdoor_podcast. I will speak to you next week. Bye, guys.